let me introduce today's key participants and panelists. Our first panelist being Smriti Balega from Shivalik Small Finance Bank. Smriti has worked with organizations including Aditya Birla Group, Vatika Limited, Williams Lee, and Alpha Corp Private Limited. And she has been involved in policy formulation and implementation at an enterprise level on cross-functional projects pan India. Welcome, Smriti. Welcome to today's panel discussion. Thank you so much for being here. Our second panelist is Karan Makhania from Aegon Life. He's the head HR business partnering and talent acquisition. Welcome, Karan. Welcome for today's panel discussion.
Hi, thank you.
And our third esteemed panelist is Sachin Garg, who is a leading business excellence professional, youngest fellow at American Society for Quality, ASQ. He has been around for 20 years in IT, financial services, private equity, and real estate sector companies like Tata Group, Max Life, Max India Group, HCL Technologies. And recently he has been associated with the Everstone Group. So on that note, welcome once again all the panelists, and I am your moderator and host for the session. Hello. Some of the very interesting things that Anurag spoke about, which actually took me back to my own career, where I used to be a permanent employee for a very long period of time, almost about 19 years of my career. Having said that, I always was looking for an answer, which somewhere I could find only in last couple of years, which is if I could do more than one job, why am I only restricted to doing only one job? And I always wanted to find that answer, but I could, never, eventually find it till such time the pandemic didn't strike. And from there on, I was, like bound to look for those answers. So future of work being like a topmost priority, the topmost agenda across board meetings, across all conversations. And right now in India, while things are opening up, India is getting vaccinated. The only question that everybody has is what's next? Ab kya hoga? So let me first ask Karan on that note. What are your thoughts, Karan, around this whole thing that is going on around, right? The whole buzzword around future of work. What does future of work mean to you?
Okay, thank you, Alok, and thank you for having me. And it was nice listening to the earlier keynote. Anurag, thank you for your insights. And upfront, I must say, I'm feeling happy that I worked in companies where HR has always had that so-called seat at the strategic table. I've never felt that I'm doing things which are not having an impact right from my management training days. So I count myself fortunate, and I think Indian companies are largely in that space, the big companies that I've seen. And that's I just think I should bring this in because this so-called strategic seat at the table is not some mythical monster. It's very much a lived reality for most of us, and I'm sure my co-panelists will also agree. To come to the point, the question that was asked, which was around where the future of work is taking us. So I think my view on this is, and also to kind of, I think it also came across in Anurag's talk, is that the future of work is already here. There is, future that, we had all imagined. Like I had not imagined ever being working from home for more than a day or two in a month. Okay, I never imagined that, I will have the entire recruitment and onboarding process happen digitally. It was like even the last, whenever I had given the last interviews, I had traveled to Bangalore, I had traveled to Delhi just for an hour-long meeting. Okay, and spend the whole day at airport lounges, and so the point I'm trying to make is that the changes come, and the changes come fast. And now we kind of think about it looking back, and I feel we are in the future already. Okay, so so as far as the one or two top things that have emerged, one is this digitally led corporate existence, which means that technically one can work from anywhere and effectively do what they were doing. Okay, and that effectiveness is increasing with every passing day. Is the way I'm looking at it. We are all evolving in our work processes. Technology is evolving to support us, and I think that's one key takeaway. Working from anywhere is something which is very much part of the future and current present of work, as I put it actually. And the other thing which is on the talent front, just kind of putting it out there, is that we'll come to the challenges, but one of the things that is a parallel trend that's emerging is the scarcity and the focus on tech talent. Because when everything is going digital, you need you need somebody to be able to translate that to you. So it's like today, tomorrow there is an imposition that everybody will speak, or all documents will be in, say, Chinese. So who will be in most in demand? It will be the Chinese translators, right? So similarly, now there is an imposition on us due to the pandemic and everything else, that we have to be, everything is digital. So who's most in demand? The coders and the developers. And the trend that I've seen in the market is that the good ones. There's always a scarcity of talent, and the war for talent is a 20-year-old phrase. But this war for talent, for tech talent, is something which I think is unprecedented, and I don't see it kind of changing for the next 5 years. We're going to be in this phase. We're going to have this big scarcity of tech talent. So yeah, I'm just putting across two things that really come to mind when I think of the future and what it brings to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karan. On that note, let me move to Smriti. Smriti is from Shivalik Small Finance Bank, and what I believe is very recently, Shivalik Small Finance Bank underwent a massive digital transformation. So, Smriti, please share with us, like, how was it to overlook that entire change management and all that happened at Shivalik Small Finance?
Smriti,
first of all,
by
thank
any
you,
chance
Alok.
you have two devices connected, because we hear an echo over there. If you have two devices, can you keep the second a little far?
Not me.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you, Alok. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for the very warm welcome. See, for change management, I don't see that as a process that has ended. It is a continuous, ongoing process for us. As far as moving on to so let me start. I'll give you a little bit of context. When we moved to Shivalik Small Finance Bank, our background started much before. Our background started about 5 years back. So we knew that there are certain processes we needed to have on board before we could even apply for a license. And to get to that stage, we were already, to a certain extent, we had, onboarded a lot of digitization processes. Now, when the pandemic hit us last year, the realization also hit us that at some point we will have to think about going online, not just with the clients, not just with our processes, but also with the remote workforce that we need to, we need to find a workarounds. Because, for example, the CBS, the Finacle software that we work on, that is not an access that can be given to everybody. So we had to find out our workarounds of how we can, if not give access, at least piggyback on certain roles, identify roles and functions which could move on to digital process, a remote process. So like I said, the change management is continuous. While we were working on this, we also transitioned into a small finance bank, and with that transition has of course come the volume and scales of work that we need to size up to as HR, and not just in terms of how I need to digitize my processes, but also in terms of how I need to upskill and upscale my team as well as the organization. So everything has just kind of piled on, and we are at a stage where we're not only talking about a gig workforce for my team, but we're also talking about outsourcing certain processes within functions in the organization. And this is a concept which was unthought of until even a few months back. While we knew that there is a certain volume that is going to be expected as we become a small finance bank, But the second lockdown was unprecedented. And with that, of course, came the challenge of, okay, now we again need to start thinking about reskilling, because we had obviously taken a pause at some level. So it's been a race, and we are still catching up.
Of course, I think most of us feel so, and we don't know where is this race headed, especially now that India opens up once again in a phase-wise manner. Let me ask this question to Sachin. Sachin, from a business excellence perspective, and being where you are and doing what you're doing, which are those some of the top 2 or 3 key trends that you see from a future of work team perspective going forward?
Sure. Thanks, Alok. Am I audible? First to check, am I loud and clear?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Thanks, Alok. Good question. And first of all, thanks to all the panelists and Anurag for making my job much easier. Since Karan and Smriti has spoken from an HR perspective, I would like to refer to a global research done by McKinsey recently, which was done in 8 markets, 8 countries, both developed and underdeveloping economies, including India, China, Japan. And they looked at these 8 countries from 3 criteria, which are the industries which require physical closeness, frequency of interaction, and the location of work. And they found that the large impact of pandemic is around 4 areas, which is leisure and travel, where 60 million workers are going to be impacted, retail and hospitality, which impacts about 150 million people, computer-based work, which is 300 million, and by large in developed economies, a lot of people are doing computer-based work. And finally, production and warehousing, where 350 million people are likely to be impacted. One of the key finding of this research said that by 2030, which is just 9 years ahead, approximately 100 million people will require job changes. That is approximately 12% higher than the past. And this rate is going to be much higher in developed economies, as high as 25%. Some of the key trends, which is already visible and going to accelerate in the coming quarters. One is definitely, we spoke work from home. I call it hybrid work. And as per a research, from 10% to 25% of the employees have said they will prefer to work 3 to 5 days work from home, which is approximately 4 to 5 times higher than the pre-pandemic levels. What it will impact? It will definitely impact a slowdown in mass transportation, restaurant, and retail industry. On the other hand, e-commerce has become 2 to 5 times faster than what it was before. So it will lead to distribution jobs, last mile delivery jobs. And of course, there is a continued focus on automation. So robots and self-service mechanism in low skill job will continue to make inroads in the coming quarters.
Thank you, Sachin, for bringing that perspective. Karan, you mentioned about the recent, work from anywhere policy that Aegon Life has implemented. In fact, coincidentally, yesterday, Facebook also announced something around similar lines, that a worker can work from anywhere in the world. Of course, it comes with some caveats in terms of pay packages, etc., being realigned and all. So what was it at Aegon Life for you to implement this policy, and some of the challenges that you saw, some of the objections that you saw, or was it a smooth process?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Alok. So at Aegon, we had moved to a work from home environment like everybody else in March 2020, right? And we had a crisis management team meeting that used to happen every other day, or practically every day, to discuss the modalities of moving to work from home. Of course, that settled in time, and with the help of our tech team and HR, business, and everybody working on this, it became a pretty I would say BAU process, if I may put it like that. So what came out of it is, we kind of figured that, okay, now everybody is working, and we saw a lot of people found a way to work from their hometowns. And a lot of people kind of, we were able to hire a few people during the lockdown who were not in Bombay or in the cities that we wanted to otherwise have them in. And that basically gave us the perspective that, okay, I mean, this is working. And, and the point is that if everything is working effectively, and people are seeing some advantages of work from home on an ongoing basis, why don't we facilitate this as a policy, so that people can take the decisions. If somebody has a rental house in Bombay, for example, and they want to move back permanently to their hometowns, why make them incur the cost if they're able to let go of, so practical considerations of that kind of brought us into this mindset. And the other part, obviously, like I mentioned, we were able to work pretty effectively, and as if because I mean the company was running as it used to before, right? So I mean, this was, I would say, the nudge. And of course, the other considerations that brought us there was, one was the availability of talent. I think Anurag touched upon this in his talk, is terms of what are the ways that we can access talent across the country. We can find say a actuary, which is a very critical role in an insurance company in Calcutta, because that's where the Indian Statistical Institute is. So the top talent in this field perhaps is there. So I would have to kind of cajole a person otherwise to move to Bombay, and all of that, and which people may not want to do due to their own personal reasons. Here I have this facility, or I would say the luxury of having this great talent available to me, working from his or her hometown, and doing the work he would have otherwise done, or she would have otherwise done. So I mean, these are the things, and from a challenges perspective, I think, like I said, the method of working was kind of imposed due to the pandemic, and so in time it became kind of business as usual. So there were not many challenges, to be frank. It was more around how to ensure. Maybe the one challenge is, the people that they miss their friends in office. They don't get to have those coffee breaks and so-called smoke breaks, and lunch sessions and birthday cake cuttings, and those are the things that people miss actually. And we have kind of found a way, so HR and the business functions together, working around different ways. Obviously, it's not that you can't cut a cake and feed each other and put it on the other person's face like you would in office, but you can still have a good time together virtually in a different way. So yeah, so those are the small workarounds. But I mean, as a story, it's a success story. I mean, we are comfortable. Only thing is, yeah, unlike a Facebook, we don't have offices all over the world, so we don't have work from anywhere globally, or so it's restricted to India, because that's where our business is, as Aegon Life India. And I mean, so far so good. It's working very well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Karan. My next question is both to you and Smriti, Karan and Smriti. Banking as well as insurance is considered to be like very human centric, right? Like a lot of trust building needs to be done. There's something which is a question I'm personally grappling with since the time pandemic started, and how things have shaped up. How is it like? How do you see this whole thing panning out over the last 1.5 years, with virtual connects happening, with virtual conversations happening? How is this particular human element being worked around and managed so well?
So, if I can take that first. So,
Yes,
if Shivalik is a fairly small bank. We started from Saharanpur. In fact, we started from our chairman's garage. That was the first branch that we started. And now in 23 years, we have over 13 branches in Saharanpur. So our connect in the town is obviously much, much larger than we have anywhere else in the country. We are working out of 2 states. We have a fairly small setup. UP and MP are the states that we work in. But Saharanpur is, the closest to us, because we started from there. Customer connect, we have customers who walk in just to have tea with the branch head, and ki meko passbook update karani hai. There's no real need, but that social connect is much more stronger there than it is there that I've seen in any other commercial bank. So for us, of course, that was a big pinch. But also what worked for us was, because of those customer connect, we were able to move quite a chunk of our customers who were initially hesitant to move to a digital banking product, to use the app, to move to a more digital setup, which is something that we had a bit of a resistance to. So because of those customer connects, I know that there was a pinch. Business did feel that pinch, but we were able to overcome it in a different fashion. Like I said, by moving to digital, our mobile banking has improved, which is something
Right.
that we had not seen before.
Okay. Karan, would you like to share some perspective from insurance industry?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks, Smriti. That was very interesting. So from a insurance industry, I mean, again, to speak of the industry at large, I think every company has been trying to follow the digital journey model for a while. They're all building, every company is in different stages of building a digital first insurance sales platform, sales and service. Yeah. And there are some in the general insurance space, there are quite a few. There are, I mean, I can name them, but there are people know about the names. There are quite a few players that are purely digital, okay, in the general insurance, motor insurance, health insurance space. Aegon is in fact one of, you can say, India's first and only fully digital life insurance company. Okay, so we have kind of taken that, strategic decision around a year and a half back. And that means that for us, anyway, the customer is a person that we reach out to digitally. Okay, we don't have the typical, what you would close your eyes and imagine an insurance salesperson. You'll imagine an agent walking into your office, walking into your home, and kind of having a cup of tea with you and explaining the products, and which is a very successful model in our country since 55 years. Yeah, but so but at the same time, the world has been changing, and taxi also had a traditional model, book buying as a traditional model, mobile phone purchase as a traditional model, and all of them have largely shifted online. Okay, so that's the, I would say, hypothesis. And insurance, while you correctly say it's a trust, you're selling, basically you're selling complicated financial product, so you need an element of trust in the person who's selling it to you to be able to feel confident in buying it, which is an absolute fact. Because unlike a mobile phone, which even a 10-year-old kid understands very well, maybe better than some of us, insurance is a fairly technical product, and there is a lot of mis-selling that happens also in the market. So in that sense, yes, but at the same time, it's in the digital space, it gives us the option of, there are certain benefits. There is a cost benefit, there is a speed benefit, and the complications are up to us to manage. So the challenge that Aegon has taken is that, what are those complications? What are those things that that customer can find difficult to understand? And can we do all the hard work at the back end so that the front end is clean and easy for the customer to understand? So if there are some, how do I say, some engines or AI or something to build at the back end, so that the front end decisioning for the customer is easy. So that's where our effort is, and I think that's the journey towards us becoming this first and only digital life insurance company in India.
Thank you so much, Karan, Smriti. Sachin, my next question is to you. With all this happening around us, right? Like, what kind of changes do you see at a little medium to longer term basis, say next 5 years, 10 years, sort of a time horizon?
And Alok, could you make it more specific with regards to what, like HR policy?
Yeah, because of, say, future of work, the kind of changes that we are seeing all around us, right? Everybody is forced to change. What are those key areas, be it in terms of processes, be it in terms of some micro trends that you foresee coming across over next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so let me put my response in two parts. One is people side, and the second is the business side. So let me continue the people side theme. Couple of interesting statistics which I read, Alok, last night was that out of the 65% people who were surveyed, which said we would like to have work from home 1 to 5 days, only 20% of the total participants wanted to work from office, and 20% of the participants were completely against going to office. In fact, 30% of the total respondents said we will look forward to changing the job if we are made to come 5 days a week at office. So that's number one reality. Number two reality is that we will appreciate what we have done when we talk about technology, digitization, business continuity planning is for the period of 2020 and 21. As per this survey, up to 60% organizations have yet not framed their post-pandemic vision. Up to 50% employees are anxious about certain guidelines. So for example, we expect employees to work from home and be available, but employees are looking at specific guidelines on what are the login hours, how am I supposed to be available in the work from home. So there is a great opportunity from a people perspective to clarify the vision going forward and build policies. The other example I can quote from a people perspective is that, one shoe will not fit all employees, and one will need to look at segmented policies. I can give you an example. A male which has dependents will have a different view versus a female employee which has dependents at home will have different preferences. And just like Karan quoted the example of an actuarial function being recruited from Calcutta, there are different set of employee requirements. And it's the time for us to look at those requirements. And the best thing we can do is to go and ask employees, what are your expectations? And then, we talk about flexibility and agility. We have to design flexible and agile HR processes which are customized to, specific needs. That's one. Alok, I'm going to take a little more time from business perspective. Now, from business perspective, I think very clearly our strategic plans have to factor in this hybrid work. We have to look at our key activities, the so-called key work processes, and see how can they be done in a hybrid mode and virtual mode. And I'll give you an example of private equity real estate. It's very important for a private equity firm to invest, to deploy capital. And let us say if the firm happened to deploy in real estate, and real estate transactions or land acquisition, which is the investment, is a more physical activity, can't be done virtually, can't be done over meetings like this. So how do we factor in large capital which needs to be deployed? So one of the solutions we came across is use drones for site inspection, use advanced technology, sensors to do cut and fill analysis, contour analysis, do advanced screening of the land to at least do part of the land acquisition process virtually. So one of the key asks ahead of us is to look at our strategic plan and factor in that how will we execute the strategic plan, which is going to be in a hybrid work environment. Alok.
Alok, I would like to add on to Sachin's point on flexibility, where, while we talk about us as an employee being flexible, I think the organizations also need to understand from the employee's perspective that this can no longer be viewed as a 9 to 6 or a 9 to 10 to 6 kind of a profile anymore. Except for maybe customer facing roles and, functions that are immediately impacting those customer facing roles. For everyone else, it has to be more about how you work, when you work, how much you work. Because I think over time, while this was seeded, this future of work concept was seeded from the remote working capacity or work from home capacity, I think we lost all boundaries during this pandemic. There are calls that start from 7 in the morning, and you have meetings even at 10 in the night because you've completely lost all concept of time. You're not working in that fixed 8-9 hour slot anymore, and that is a realization that organizations need it needs to sink in, that being flexible is not just for employees, it is also from organizations perspective. like Sachin said, that we need to have agile HR processes. Current organization is, had kudos, you've been able to do a work from anywhere policy. But I know that there are organizations who are still hesitant to let go of employees and not have that control of them working in a physical space where I can, keep monitoring them. So hats off.
Yeah. Hello, can we ask a question now relevant to the Smriti's point?
Yeah, please. Why not?
Yeah, Smriti, one point on your viewpoint. There is always a big crib from the industry saying that the timing which you mentioned, there is no 9 to 6 job. I might work in the morning 3 hours, evening 4 hours, and nights another 4 hours. That is becoming a big problem in terms of that personal work, especially working women. They're not able to manage their time. Earlier, at least they have a timing. Let's assume I'll work in the office 9 hours, after coming back at least 2 hours. Wherein now the situation is worst. I was told that I don't know how much my data, my observation could be shallow or data points could be lesser. But this is the mixed feeling coming in the industry. Have you heard about it?
So just let me try and recap what you said. So I think you are mentioning about there being no this thing cap on how to work and when to work. There is no work hours that we are talking about. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. There is no time limitation, and hence people are feeling too much of frustrated because anytime and every time people are calling them and no limitations. They're not able to commit to their family members. At least they used to tell their parents or in-laws saying that please call me after 10 p.m. before 5 a.m. in the morning. Yes. Nowadays they can't tell that also.
Yes.
Sir, question absolutely noted. I think Smriti has got the question. I think, Smriti, over to you.
Okay, so this is not. I mean, this is not a blanket answer that I can provide, because this is more individual specific. It is more role specific. There are certain roles where they can probably take breaks in between. Like for example, for me, I know my TA team can work in the evenings because that is when a lot of candidates are available. Candidates are not very comfortable taking calls during work hours. So yes, they can work before their 9 or after their 6 p.m. But I'm unfortunately right now I don't have a set response that I can give. This is a solution, because being a mother to a 7-year-old, I know how difficult it is to adjust to one hopping child in the background and one board meeting presentation being presented. So that time management is something that I'm talking about from an organization. That flexibility has to be provided from the organization. There are a lot of roles where we are talking about moving to a more automated process, or moving to a more agile or gig process, where you focus on what the project needs to be and what your end result is, and not how many hours I am putting in. The focus needs to be on what my end result is. Like for example, annual reviews. Now, a lot of organizations are moving from annual reviews to an OKR concept, where you talk about, okay, these are the 3 things that you need to work on, and these are your delivery timelines. So if you move to a more focused, job focused organization or a job focused role, that is where I think you will have a little bit more of a work life balance. But that is not something that only an employee can take a call on. That is something that an organization also has to have a buy-in on, and which is something I think now over this last year a lot of organizations have started realizing and have started moving towards.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Smriti. And
thank you for your question.
So I'll also add to that just a very, very short point. I think what Smriti said is very key. I hope I can be heard. Yeah, all right. So yeah, there is a problem that people are working long hours, and it's like my IT person would say that we are doing our own meetings during the day, and in the evening is when the business user, that's in their case me, gets a time to call them for some solutioning, some support that I need. Okay, so they have their meetings during the day, then I call them in the evening saying mera ye nahi chal raha hai, wo nahi chal raha hai. So, and just like that, recruiters also, like just like Smriti said, like candidates are not available in the day, so they have to find time in the evenings, say 7:30 to schedule calls with the recruiters, and interviews happen late in the evening. So those are practical challenges. So one way we are trying to assuage this is that what we've done is we have come up with a concept of core interaction hours. So say the suggested core interaction hours are 10 to 12 and 2 to 5. So what we are trying to push as a culture is that all meetings should happen in these 2 slots of 5 hours. So 10 to 2 and 10 to 12 and 2 to 5. And the rest of the time is kind of flexible. So like I have to do my own Excel work or some presentation that I'm making or some report I'm preparing or some emails, like the hundreds of emails that you get in a day, you need to reply to them in a given time. So all those things, that's the organization encouraging people to plan all their meetings within those 5 hours. So the other 4 hours are available for me as an individual to my focused work. Okay.
Good.
And of course, we're also trying to discourage late evening meetings and so on. It's a journey, not that it's going to happen in a day or two, but at least the focus is there that let's try to avoid. And the good thing is in our company, the leadership is trying to push it, saying that avoid late evening meetings or avoid pre 9 a.m. meetings. So let's see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, this is one step we are trying to take, the core interaction hours to kind of curtail the over meetings. That's only call to call. There's 9 to 6 is like back-to-back calls. Then when do you work actually? When do you reply to mails? When do you prepare stuff? So we are trying to do it like this, but it's a journey. Yes, all of
In
us.
fact,
Good, Karan. Seems reasonably okay type of solution.
Thank you, Karan. In fact, the common sentiment is the previous environment was better because there was a fixed timing to close, right? Now there is like no timing at all. It's like possibly going around the clock. So yeah. So on that note, I think we are coming to a close to this wonderful panel discussion. I wish we had more time. We would have continued even longer. I think the questions are like never ending. But towards the end, if I have to just ask each one of the panelists to sort of sum up this whole, discussion, what are your 1 or 2 key takeaways for the audience from an HR perspective or a business excellence perspective? What would you say, Sachin?
Well, just continuing of what I said on strategic planning, we need to prepare ourselves for this hybrid work mode. That's one. At the same time, at a business level, there is always a great opportunity to move away from a fixed cost to a variable cost. Now, this could be with regards to people. This could be with regards to real estate and any other area of business. Very clearly, it will bring agility in the businesses. The age-old concept of outsourcing can be applied even more now these days. One could look at outsourcing non-core functions, bringing experts from outside. That's the third area. And the fourth area, which I think specifically business excellence teams can play, is to relook or is to identify what needs to be changed in the business and start preparing the organization with redesigned business processes, because all your processes has been written pre-pandemic, and pandemic has changed everything, and a lot more will be changed in the coming days. So one of the great service business excellence function can do to the organization is to look at what is going to change in their respective industry and redesign their operating model and processes.
Thanks, Sachin. Smriti, your perspective, final key takeaway.
I think Sachin has taken most of my key takeaways. But I think the main focus for me is going to be how to be flexible and how to ensure that there is a work-life balance that is being maintained. How to also, like Sachin said, that how to understand what are the core processes that I should keep, and what are the known core processes or areas of work that I can look at outsourcing. We have moved on to a more of an automated process. We've completely, digitized our HR processes, whether it is from a learning aspect, whether it is from talent acquisition aspect, or even from my HR processes. So moving to a digitized world, and also not taking away from my team on, or not taking away jobs, so to speak, with this automation. So being flexible, being digital, and also, accepting that, there is going to be change. This is this remote working is here to stay.
Thank you. Karan, finally.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Smriti and Sachin. I'll just add one more thing. I think they've already covered most of the things I would have said. One thing I think for an HR professional and for everybody listening in who's in HR, I think the key takeaway for all of us, in my view, is that we need to find a way to connect with the employees. We need to find excuses to connect almost, and we have to find excuses to celebrate small things. For example, like if you're in office, I always, we could just run into people at different stages on the floor and have a chat, and you would get a pulse of the organization, what people are saying, what people are doing. People would just walk up to you also and share their thoughts. People will walk into your cabin, your cubicle, whatever, and tell you what's wrong or what's good. Now those things are, well, everything is a scheduled call. So unless somebody really takes the effort of scheduling a call with you, because if somebody just calls me, for example, I'm not able to answer because I have another call going on. So it's practically WhatsApp and scheduled calls that's available. So the point, or what I'm doing practically in my daily life, is I'm kind of scheduling just 10-minute calls with random colleagues, based on their and my availability, and having an open-ended chat without agenda, without I don't want to really pry into what they're doing or ask them for any feedback specifically, just a chat, like you would walk up to a person saying, hi, what's happening? Only thing that it's on a calendar. So it still seems like work for everyone, but it's more casual than that. And that really gives a lot of insight into what people are thinking, what people are, somebody may not be some person might be feeling some kind of angst, but it's not yet so intense that they want to come to HR and complain. It's still there, it's in the back of their mind. So just a connect like this, but if there is a chat happening, they would just maybe say, yeah, this is not really a big deal, but I'm telling you this, So that really helps to, be proactive in finding ways to make everybody's life easier. And like I said, celebration also, like, there are very few positive news in the in around us, with all those things that are happening. So how do we celebrate the small wins and the small successes and the small events in everybody's life? Just find a way to, so I mean, these are two things that I think HR really should do in a work from home, work from anywhere, or pandemic era working style. That's from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Smriti. Thank you, Sachin. On that note, I think it was a fantastic panel discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed, hearing your perspectives and putting it all together. I'm very confident audience would have also benefited a lot from this chat, which started from Anurag setting the mega trends around work from home, the future of work, and now the panelists summing up the micro trends or the next steps, how we can see from an industry perspective. On that note, I would like to open up the panel